Chapter 1. Fuck Around and Find Out. The Powell household was a goddamn mess by 1 a.m. Popcorn kernels littered the carpet like shrapnel from a late-night Netflix binge, the faint glow of the TV still flickering with the ghost of some shitty rom-com the humans had been glued to. The air reeked of butter and existential regret. Upstairs, the humans had finally dragged their asses to bed, leaving the house to its true guardians. Maggie, a Birman with fur like cream and ice-blue eyes that could cut through steel, was sprawled across the foot of the bed, her tail curled around her like a smug question mark. She was the picture of feline elegance, but don't let that fool you. She'd gut you for a tuna can and not blink. Jinx, a lean black tom with a jagged white streak across his chest, like he'd been knifed in a bar fight, perched on the windowsill. His green eyes scanned the backyard, sharp and restless, like a sniper who'd seen too much shit to ever relax. The night was quiet. Too fucking quiet. Maggie's ears twitched at 2:17 a.m. Not the usual bullshit, the fridge's hum, the house's creaky bones, or the humans snoring like chainsaws. This was different. Wet. Squishy. Wrong. Like something was oozing through the walls, leaving a trail of cosmic slime. Her fur bristled, and she was on her feet in a heartbeat, silent as a shadow. She slunk into the living room, her white coat glowing faintly in the moonlight like some ghostly assassin. Then she saw them. 3 fucking things stood in the middle of the room. They were small, barely 3 feet tall, with pale, translucent skin that pulsed with veins like glowing circuitry. Their heads were bulbous, grotesque, with black eyes that shimmered like oil slicks. Long, spindly fingers rifled through the human's shit, couch cushions, a TV remote, a half-empty beer can, scanning each item with a humming device that looked like it belonged in a sci-fi torture chamber. The air stank of burnt copper and ozone, like a lightning strike in a junkyard. Maggie's hiss ripped through the silence, low and venomous. The aliens froze. Their heads swiveled in unison, those creepy-ass eyes locking onto her. One of them clicked its jaw, and a guttural hum vibrated from its throat like a dial-up modem from hell. "Oh shit," Maggie muttered, her tail puffing up like a bottle brush. She didn't wait for an invitation. She bolted back to the bedroom, leaping onto the bed and landing square on Jinx's ribs. "Jinx, wake the fuck up!" she snarled, smacking him across the face with a paw. Jinx groaned, cracking one eye open. "Jesus, Mags, it's the middle of the goddamn night. What's your—" "There are fucking aliens in the living room, you lazy bastard!" His eyes snapped open, pupils dilating to black moons. "You're shitting me?" "Do I look like I'm shitting you?" Maggie's voice was a low growl, her claws flexing. 3 of them, creepy little fuckers, poking around like they own the place. Jinx was up in a flash, fur bristling, tail lashing like a whip. "Motherfuckers!" he spat, his voice dripping with the kind of rage that comes from too many nights fighting off interdimensional assholes. "Grab the stash!" Maggie's lips curled into a smirk. "Now you're talking." Jinx dove under the bed, claws scrabbling against the hardwood as he dragged out their secret weapons cache. This wasn't some cute cat toy bullshit. This was a goddamn arsenal. A sharpened knitting needle that could puncture steel. A plastic lightsaber Jinx had rigged with a plasma core. Don't ask how. The cat's a fucking genius. And Maggie's pride and joy, a set of kitchen knives she'd honed to surgical precision, perfect for flicking into eyeballs or whatever passed for alien anatomy. Jinx tossed Maggie her knives, his grin feral and unhinged. "Let's fuck these space pricks up." Maggie caught the knives in her teeth, her eyes glinting with bloodlust. "Bet I kill more than you." "Fuck you, bet you don't," Jinx shot back, already sprinting toward the living room.
The aliens were still there, hunched over the coffee table, their spindly fingers scanning a dog-eared copy of People magazine like it held the secrets to the universe. Their guttural language filled the air, a mix of clicks and wet gurgles that made Maggie's skin crawl. One of them held a glowing orb that pulsed like a dying star, casting eerie shadows across the walls. Maggie and Jinx crouched behind the couch, peering over the edge. Jinx's tail twitched, his claws unsheathed. "What's the play, Mags?" "Hit 'em hard, hit 'em fast," she whispered.
"I'll take the one on the left. You fuck up the big one." "Big one's mine," Jinx growled. "I'm gonna shove that orb so far up its ass, it'll choke on stardust." Before Maggie could respond, one of the aliens turned, its translator device crackling like a busted radio. "Well, look at this," it rasped, its voice a mix of static and malice. "Two little pussies." Jinx froze, his fur standing on end like black needles. "What the fuck did you just call me?" The alien tilted its bulbous head, its lips curling into something that might have been a smile if it wasn't so goddamn creepy. "Pussy," it repeated, slower this time, savoring the word. "Soft little earth pussy." Maggie winced. "Oh, you fucked up now." Jinx's eyes blazed green fire, his tail puffing up to twice its size. "I am not a pussy," he roared, launching himself into the air like a furry missile. What followed was pure, unadulterated cat chaos. Jinx slammed into the alien's face, claws slashing like switchblades. Black ichor sprayed across the couch, splattering the cushions like a Jackson Pollock painting gone wrong. The creature screeched, a sound like nails on a chalkboard mixed with a dying modem, and flailed its spindly arms. Jinx didn't give a shit. He sank his teeth into its neck, tearing through translucent flesh until something vital popped, and the alien collapsed, twitching. Maggie was already moving, spinning like a white tornado. Her knife flashed in the moonlight as she sliced through the second alien's leg, severing it clean at the knee. The creature howled, stumbling, and Maggie leapt onto its chest, driving the blade into its eye with a sickening squelch. "Eat shit, E.T.," she spat, twisting the knife for good measure. The third alien grabbed Jinx by the tail. Big fucking mistake. Jinx twisted midair, his back claws raking across its face, leaving glowing green streaks of alien blood. "How do you like me now, you space bitch?" he screamed, sinking his teeth into its throat and shaking his head like a pit bull with a chew toy. The alien gurgled, its body convulsing as Jinx ripped out something that looked disturbingly like a trachea. Maggie vaulted off the bookshelf like a goddamn ninja, slamming into the last alien with the knitting needle. She stabbed it over and over, each thrust punctuated by a curse. "Fuck you! Fuck your ship! Fuck your whole goddamn planet!" The creature twitched, then went still, its body collapsing into a pile of oozing goo. The living room was a war zone. The coffee table was overturned, the lamp lay in pieces, and the air reeked of alien blood and burnt metal. The aliens' bodies fizzled, evaporating into black smoke that curled toward the ceiling like a bad omen. Jinx and Maggie stood panting, fur matted with ichor, eyes wild. Maggie licked a paw, wiping green sludge off her face. "Fucking disgusting," she muttered. Jinx grinned, his teeth still stained with alien blood. "Yeah, but we fucked him up good." Down the hallway, one of the humans stumbled out of the bedroom, rubbing their eyes. "What the hell is going on out here?" they mumbled, their voice thick with sleep and annoyance. They stepped over the shattered lamp, oblivious to the carnage that had just gone down. Jinx and Maggie froze, then bolted, sprinting in circles like a pair of coked-up lunatics. Fur flew, tails lashed, and they yowled like they were auditioning for a horror movie. Full-blown Zoomies mode. "Crazy-ass cats," the human grumbled, shaking their head. "You two are fucking psychos." They shuffled to the bathroom and slammed the door. Jinx skidded to a halt, panting. Another night, another goddamn invasion. Maggie smirked, licking a speck of ichor off her claw. And we fucking crushed it. They high-fived with their paws, a quick slap of fur on fur, then dragged their weapons back under the bed, hiding the evidence like seasoned hitmen. By the time the humans shuffled back down the hallway, Jinx and Maggie were curled up on the couch, looking like innocent house cats who'd never so much as scratched a curtain. Another mission in the books, another planet saved. And not a single soul would ever know the truth about the Midnight Defenders. Chapter 2. The Cat War Begins. 2 nights had passed since Jinx and Maggie turned the living room into a slaughterhouse for those slimy alien fuckers. The Powell household was back to its usual bullshit. Humans leaving dirty dishes in the sink, oblivious to the cosmic war that had gone down under their noses. Jinx and Maggie played their parts, lazing on the couch, batting at a stray sock, knocking over a coffee mug just to keep up appearances.
But the air felt heavy, like the calm before a storm that'd rip your face off. Jinx perched on the windowsill, his black fur blending into the night, the white streak on his chest glowing faintly like a scar from a knife fight. His green eyes scanned the backyard, restless, like he was waiting for the world to catch fire. Maggie, sprawled on the couch, her creamy Birman fur shimmering under the moonlight, licked a paw with the kind of smug grace that said she could kill you and make it look like an accident. "You're brooding again," Maggie said, stretching so her claws flexed like tiny daggers. "Chill the fuck out. We sent those space bastards running." Jinx's tail twitched, a sharp flick of irritation. "They're coming back, Mags. You know it. Those weren't just scouts. We pissed off something big, and they're not gonna let 2 cats make 'em look like idiots." Maggie rolled her eyes. "You always think the sky's falling. Maybe they got the hint when you ripped their buddy's throat out." Jinx's eyes glowed an eerie green, like jade lit by hellfire. "They're too smart for that. We fucked with their pride. Next time, they're not just gonna poke around. They're coming to kill." As if the universe was listening, the night sky erupted in a sickly green flash, like someone had set a radioactive lime on fire. The ground trembled, a low hum vibrating through the walls, rattling the living room window. Outside, a faint mist curled through the backyard, and a sleek black ship, all jagged edges and pulsing lights, descended silently behind the tree line, cloaked in shadow.
"Shit," Maggie hissed, her fur puffing up like a snowball with claws. Jinx's grin was all teeth, sharp and unhinged. "Told you, princess. Game fucking on." This wasn't the trio of scrawny scouts from last time. 7 aliens emerged from the mist, each one taller, meaner, and uglier than the last. Their translucent skin shimmered with bioluminescent veins, and their bulbous heads looked like they'd been inflated with bad intentions. They wore armor, black, segmented plates that clicked like insect shells, and carried weapons that looked like a nightmare hybrid of meat cleavers and chainsaws, buzzing with electric arcs that smelled like burnt ozone and death. Maggie crouched low, her blue eyes narrowing. Well, fuck me sideways. This is bad. Jinx's gaze darted around the room, calculating. No shit, we can't take 7 of these bastards alone. Then who the hell? Maggie started, but Jinx cut her off with a yowl that shook the air. It was a deep, guttural sound, primal and piercing, inaudible to human ears but a fucking klaxon to every feline within 3 blocks. A call to arms, a promise of blood. The reinforcements came fast. First through the dog door was Tank, a massive orange tabby who looked like he'd been chewed up by a lawnmower and spat out meaner. Scars crisscrossed his face like a road map of bar fights, and his yellow eyes burned with the kind of crazy that made you cross the street. "What's the job, Jinx?" he rumbled, his voice like gravel in a blender. "Aliens, 7 of them." Heavy fucking gear, Jinx said, nodding toward the backyard where the mist was thickening. Tank bared his broken teeth in a grin that promised pain. Oh, hell fucking yes. Next came Saffron, a calico with one eye and an attitude that could curdle milk. She slunk in through a cracked window, her patchwork fur bristling. "This better be worth my time, assholes," she snarled, her single eye glinting like a sniper's scope. Whisper followed, a tiny black kitten no bigger than a teacup, but faster than a bullet. She moved like a shadow, silent and deadly, her claws already out. Last was Biscuit, a fat Maine Coon who looked like he belonged on a cat food commercial, but fought like a drunken biker with a grudge. He lumbered through the dog door, his fluff hiding a core of pure, unfiltered violence. The living room became a war council, the air thick with tension and the smell of fur and adrenaline. Jinx paced, his tail lashing. "All right, you bastards. These fuckers are armored, armed, and pissed. We hit 'em hard, we hit 'em fast. No mercy." "Fuck mercy," Saffron spat, licking a claw. "I'm here to make 'em bleed." "Stay sharp," Maggie added, her knives already in her teeth. "These aren't the weak shits from last time. Aim for the joints, armor's thinner there." Biscuit yawned, his massive frame shaking. "Just point me at 'em. I'll sit on their faces till they pop." Whisper didn't speak, just flicked her tail and vanished into the shadows, already scouting. The aliens breached the house, their boots clicking on the hardwood like cockroaches on a rampage. Their weapons hummed, casting electric blue arcs that scorched the walls. One of them scanned the room with a glowing orb, its black eyes narrowing as it spotted the cats gathered like a furry militia. "Well, look at this," its translator rasped, dripping with static and scorn. "A whole litter of little pussies." Jinx's pupils shrank to slits, his fur spiking like black needles. His tail lashed like a whip, and his voice dropped to a growl that could curdle blood. "You sons of bitches never learn." He reared back, chest heaving, and roared, "I'm not a motherfucking pussy!" The cats charged. The living room exploded into a blood-soaked shit show. Tank barreled into the nearest alien like a furry wrecking ball, his jaws clamping onto its throat. Black ichor sprayed like a busted pipe, coating the walls as the alien's weapons sputtered and died. Tank shook his head, tearing through flesh and armor, growling, "Choke on that, you slimy fuck!" Saffron darted between legs, her claws slashing tendons like a butcher with a vendetta. An alien swung its buzzing cleaver, but she rolled under it, slicing its Achilles with a flick of her paw. It screamed, collapsing, and she leapt onto its chest, clawing out its eyes with a snarl. "Call me a pussy again, bitch!" Whisper was a blur, climbing an alien's back like a spider from hell. She jammed a cocktail skewer into its eye, twisting until green goo oozed down its face. The alien flailed, but Whisper was already gone, vanishing into the chaos to strike again. Maggie moved like white lightning, her fur slick with blood and sweat. Her knives flashed in the moonlight, cutting through alien armor like it was tinfoil. She spun, slicing one alien's arm clean off, then drove her blade into another's chest. "Eat this, you cosmic fuck," she spat, kicking the body as it dissolved into black smoke. Jinx was a goddamn demon, wielding his plasma-rigged lightsaber like a samurai on a bender. An alien swung its weapon at him, but he parried, the plastic blade glowing white-hot as it sliced through the alien's chest. "Fuck your invasion," he roared, driving the saber deeper until the creature shrieked and evaporated, leaving a pile of ash and a stench like burnt circuitry. Biscuit waddled into the fray, looking deceptively cuddly, until he leapt onto an alien's face, his massive bulk smothering it. "Sit on this, asshole," he growled, clawing at its eyes while his weight crushed its windpipe. The alien thrashed, then went still, dissolving into smoke. Blood, black, green, and glowing, splattered the walls, the couch, the fucking curtains. The coffee table was kindling. The TV sparked, its screen cracked from a stray alien weapon. The living room was a battlefield, and the cats were winning. Down the hallway, a door creaked open. One of the humans stumbled out, bleary-eyed, their hair a mess. "What the fuck is going on out here?" they slurred, rubbing their eyes. From their perspective, it was pure chaos. A dozen cats running, jumping, hissing, and yowling like they'd snorted catnip laced with cocaine.
Furniture was trashed, the walls were scratched to hell, and the air smelled like burnt hair and something worse. The humans couldn't see the aliens, couldn't see the black itcher or the piles of ash, just a pack of feral felines tearing the place apart. "Goddamn cats have the zoomies again," the human muttered, stepping over what looked to them like empty space, but was actually a smear of alien goo. They shook their head, turned, and shuffled back to bed, slamming the door. By dawn, the house was a fucking disaster zone. The cats sat among the wreckage, panting, licking blood and itcher off their fur. The aliens were gone, their bodies reduced to piles of black ash that drifted like snow across the ruined carpet. The air stank of ozone, blood, and victory. Tank licked a gash on his paw, grumbling, "Worth it." Saffron spat out a chunk of alien flesh. Fuckers had it coming. Whisper curled up in a corner, her tiny body trembling, but her eyes fierce. Biscuit flopped onto his side, panting like he'd just run a marathon. "I need a nap and a goddamn tuna can." Jinx and Maggie stood in the center of the room, fur matted with blood, their weapons still dripping. Maggie's blue eyes were cold, calculating. "They're gonna send more," she said quietly, her voice hard. This was a test. Next time, it's war. Jinx nodded, his grin feral and blood-streaked. "Good, let 'em come. We'll rip their fucking heads off." The cat militia melted into the shadows, slipping out through windows and doors, vanishing back to their alleys and rooftops. By the time the humans came downstairs, muttering about damn cats and who broke the fucking table, Jinx and Maggie were curled up on the couch, looking like perfect little angels. Their fur was clean, their eyes soft, their weapons hidden. Another night, another victory. But the war was just beginning. This version cranks up the violence, profanity, and tension, giving each cat a distinct personality and role in the fight. The aliens are more menacing, the battle is bloodier, and the stakes feel apocalyptic, while the humor and camaraderie keep it grounded. Let me know if you want more tweaks or a specific focus for the next part. Chapter 3: The Last Fucking Stand. The world was a clueless shit show, stumbling toward annihilation without a goddamn hint of what was coming. The sun set over the Powell neighborhood, painting the sky in garish oranges and purples, like a bruise on the face of the universe. On the roof, Jinx and Maggie sat side by side, tails swishing like metronomes counting down to doomsday. The air was thick with the stench of impending war, ozone, sweat, and the faint tang of alien blood still lingering from their last fight. Jinx's green eyes burned into the horizon, his black fur bristling, the white streak on his chest glowing like a battle scar under the fading light. "It's tonight, Mags," he growled, his voice low and raw, like he'd gargled gravel. "I can feel it in my fucking bones." Maggie's ice-blue eyes glinted, sharp enough to cut through steel. She stretched, her creamy Birman fur rippling, claws flexing like switchblades.
"No shit, Sherlock. The sky's been humming like a pissed-off hornet's nest all day." She licked a paw, casual as hell, but her tail betrayed her, twitching with barely contained adrenaline. For 3 nights, they'd been recruiting like mad, rounding up every badass feline within spitting distance. Alley cats with rap sheets longer than their tails, pampered house cats who discovered they had a taste for blood, barn cats from the edge of town with claws like rusty razors, and even a couple of half-feral psychos from the dumpster behind the Chinese restaurant, reeking of soy sauce and murder. The neighborhood was a powder keg, and Jinx and Maggie were the match. Now, on every rooftop, fence, and tree branch, hundreds of cats sat in eerie silence, their eyes glowing like a constellation of vengeance. The air crackled with tension, the kind that makes your fur stand on end and your heart pound like a war drum. Then the sky fucking tore open. A massive alien ship descended, blotting out the stars like a black hole with a bad attitude. It was the size of a football field, all jagged edges and pulsing lights, humming with a bone-rattling energy that shook the ground. Windows rattled, car alarms screamed, and the neighborhood dogs lost their goddamn minds, barking like they'd seen the devil himself. Jinx leapt down from the roof, landing with a heavy thud that cracked the pavement. His fur was spiked, his eyes blazing green fire. "All right, you alien assholes," he roared, his voice echoing through the streets. "This is our fucking planet!" The cats answered with a chorus of yowls, growls, and hisses that sounded like hell itself had cracked open and gone feral. Hundreds of claws unsheathed in unison, a metallic shink that promised blood. The war was on. The first wave hit like a tsunami of cosmic fuckery. Dozens of aliens poured from the ship, bigger and meaner than anything Jinx and Maggie had faced before. These weren't the scrawny scouts from last time. These were goddamn war machines, standing 7 feet tall, their black chrome armor glinting like polished obsidian. Their weapons buzzed and crackled with electric arcs, each one a bastard hybrid of chainsaw and plasma rifle, spitting sparks that burned holes in the asphalt. Tank led the charge, a massive orange tabby who looked like he'd been forged in a junkyard brawl. His squad of heavy hitters, Maine Coons, Norwegian forest cats, and a half-bobcat named Moose who was more beast than feline, tore into the aliens like a pack of rabid wolverines. Tank barreled into one, his jaws clamping onto its throat with a sickening crunch. Black ichor sprayed like a busted oil line, splattering his scarred face. "Eat shit, you extraterrestrial fuck!" he roared, shaking the alien until its armor cracked. Saffron and Whisper worked the shadows, a deadly duo of precision and chaos. Saffron, the one-eyed calico, slunk through the chaos, her claws slicing through power cables on the alien's weapons, sparks flying as the devices sputtered and died. "Fry, you bastards!" she snarled, dodging a plasma blast that scorched the fence behind her. Whisper, the tiny black kitten, was a fucking phantom, darting up an alien's back and jamming a cocktail skewer into its eye socket. Green goo oozed out, and the creature screamed, flailing as Whisper vanished into the night, already hunting her next target. Maggie was a white-hot blur, her fur streaked with blood and sweat, her knives flashing like silver lightning. She spun through the chaos, disarming one alien with a flick of her blade, then slit another's throat in a single fluid motion. Black ichor sprayed across her face, and she spat, wiping it off with a paw. "Tastes like ass," she yelled, diving back into the fray. "Jinx, right behind you!" Maggie screamed, her voice cutting through the chaos. Jinx spun just in time, his plasma-rigged lightsaber glowing white-hot as he blocked a strike from an alien's buzzing weapon. Sparks flew, the air crackling with heat. The alien towered over him, its black eyes gleaming with malice. "You again, little pussy," its translator hissed, dripping with venom. "Fuck you!" Jinx roared, driving the lightsaber straight through its skull.
The blade burned through flesh and bone, and the alien's head exploded in a geyser of green ichor that drenched the pavement. "I told you I'm not a fucking pussy!" The streets were a Godbingham slaughterhouse. Alien corpses piled up, dissolving into black smoke that hung over the neighborhood like a toxic fog. Mailboxes were shredded, fences splintered, and the pavement was gouged with claw marks and plasma burns.
Biscuit, the fat Maine Coon, waddled into the fray, looking like a fluffy pillow until he leapt onto an alien's face, his bulk smothering it. "Suffocate, you piece of shit," he growled, clawing at its eyes until it stopped twitching. By 3 a.m., the streets were a graveyard of alien ash and blood. The cats were battered but unbowed, their fur matted with ichor, their eyes glowing with feral triumph. But the mothership hadn't stopped. The ground split open with a deafening crack, and something massive descended from the ship's belly, a towering alien warlord, 9 feet of pure armored death. Its black chrome plating gleamed, and it carried a blade the size of a car door, crackling with electric fire. Its eyes locked onto Jinx, and the translator hissed, cold and final, "You are the leader. You will die first." Jinx's fur bristled, his tail lashing like a whip. "Over my dead fucking body, you oversized cockroach!" The fight was a brutal, bloody nightmare. The warlord swung its blade, carving craters into the street, each strike sending shockwaves that knocked cats off their feet. Jinx darted and leapt, his claws and lightsaber a blur of violence. He slashed at the warlord's legs, aiming for the joints, but the armor was like fucking titanium. "This guy's built like a tank," Jinx yelled, dodging a swing that obliterated a mailbox. Maggie sprang onto the warlord's back, her knives stabbing at the gaps in its armor. "Keep it busy, Jinx," she shouted, driving a blade into a seam near its neck. Green blood sprayed, but the warlord roared, swatting at her like a fly. She clung on, cursing, "Fuck you, you big bastard!" Tank charged, slamming into the warlord's legs like a furry battering ram. The impact shook the street, and the creature staggered, its blade missing Jinx by inches. "Take it down, you pricks!" Tank bellowed, sinking his teeth into the alien's knee, crunching through armor and bone. Saffron and Whisper joined the assault, slicing at the warlord's ankles, their claws leaving glowing streaks of blood. Biscuit, panting and bloodied, leapt onto the alien's arm, clawing at its weapon until it sparked and died. "Eat my fluff, asshole!" he snarled, his weight dragging the arm down. Jinx saw his opening. He leapt high, spinning mid-air like a black tornado, his lightsaber glowing like a supernova. With a roar that shook the night, he drove his claws and blades straight through the warlord's throat. The creature screamed, a sound like 1,000 modems dying, and convulsed, green ichor gushing like a broken dam. It collapsed, the ground shaking as its body dissolved into a pile of black ash. The mothership let out a deafening, metallic screech like a wounded beast. Then, just as suddenly as it had come, it shot into the sky, vanishing into the void, leaving only silence and smoke behind. By dawn, the war was over. The neighborhood was a fucking wasteland. Shredded mailboxes, shattered fences, and claw marks gouged into the pavement like scars from a cosmic brawl. The humans would wake up thinking a tornado had hit, or maybe a gas leak had driven their cats insane. They'd never know the truth. Jinx stood in the center of the street, blood dripping from his fur, chest heaving, his lightsaber still humming faintly. Maggie padded up beside him, her white fur streaked with green and black, her blue eyes fierce but tired. "We fucking did it," she said, her voice raw. "For now," Jinx replied, his grin feral and blood-streaked. He looked around at the hundreds of cats surrounding them, their fur matted with ichor, their eyes glowing like embers in the early morning light. But if those bastards ever come back... He didn't need to finish.
The cats knew. They'd be waiting, claws sharp, ready to rip the stars apart. One by one, the feline militia melted into the shadows, slipping back to their alleys, rooftops, and cozy human homes. Tank gave Jinx a nod, his scarred face grim but proud. Saffron flicked her tail, muttering, "Call me when it's round 2, assholes." Whisper vanished without a sound, and Biscuit waddled off, grumbling about needing a nap and a whole fucking salmon. By the time the humans stumbled downstairs, muttering about damn cats and who the hell trashed the street, Jinx and Maggie were curled up on the couch, purring softly, their fur clean, their weapons hidden. They looked like 2 sweet little house cats who'd spent the night dreaming of treats and sunbeams. Another war won, another planet saved, and not a single soul would ever know the truth about the Midnight Defenders.